Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining us again. So as you see, we got the Dart all kinds of jacked up in the air. We're ready to put our transmission back in anticipation of our motor coming soon. We've got a nice day, so it's a great day to have the door open, get working on the project again. This is that same transmission you saw in a couple episodes back where we did install a trans brake, and I showed you some of the other features inside the transmission as well. So we have a couple other little upgrades we're gonna have to do on the car, including some of the wiring for that trans brake. And I also have a trans blanket going on as well. So any car that runs quicker than 10.99 in a quarter mile requires a blanket. It's just in case the transmission explodes. This will protect you inside the car. So we're gonna do an install on that as well. Now, if you saw my previous transmission removal video, I'm gonna try to do this a little bit better. I'm gonna try not to drop the trans this time. And I do got a piece of cardboard. We'll slide her underneath and cross our fingers, hope and pray. So let's get moving. We'll get that trans up on the jack, get it under the car, and start getting the install going. Okay, there is our 727 trans doing our nice little headstand there. I'm gonna go ahead and actually do an install on the cross member. I feel like that's just going to actually help me locate the trans underneath the car, because I'll have a jack under the pan with a board, and then as I bring it up, it's going to have somewhere to go because there is no motor in the car. So locating it underneath there without that cross member and then trying to bounce it on there and put the cross member on, this might just be a little bit easier. Those cross members and trans mounts are real simple, by the way. It's just 2 bolts right in there like that. Come on. Okay. Pretty close. Okay, so that actually worked pretty decent. I still got it supported by the jack, and then you can see on the cross member there, I got the, over here, I got the 4 bolts installed fairly simply. Once I got in position, just pop those guys in. Before I take the pressure off the jack, I will put a block back here. I don't want it to sit on the mount and just hang, because there's no motor up front, so this thing will literally just drop down and put a lot of stress on that rubber mount that's in there. So I'll put a block back there. And then, yeah, we're ready to start hooking other stuff up. Okay, good. Who needs a hoist, right? I do. I need a hoist. Okay, so we got that situated and they're looking pretty good now. I ended up putting the jack under the front just to kind of hold it. It was still moving around on that motor mount or that trans mount pretty good. I did put the blocks in the back. It kind of wanted to roll around. So I'm gonna leave it like this, hook everything up, and then when we get the car down, every time when I put the motor in, I usually have a jack underneath the trans, and then you can articulate the trans to meet up with the motor when you do the install. I guess most guys would probably do the motor first and then bring the trans up in, but with these A bodies, the headers are always an issue because they're in the way. And everyone else always hits me up and says, oh, put the trans and the motor together and then drop it in as a unit. I don't know if you've seen my garage, but the height here is not tall enough where I can articulate an engine and a trans and drop it all the way in. So it's a 2-piece system for me. The other people are always like, oh, well, just roll your car out. Well, my driveway also slopes down. So this is kind of the best way to do it for me. Still gonna hook everything up, of course, get it back down on the ground, and then I'll put a small jack under the front of that. So when we do put the motor in, we can articulate that guy and make it meet up with the motor as best we can. But this allows us to put the drive shaft in. We can do that wiring, get the blanket on, get all the linkage in, and it's just something for me to do today. Okay, so under driver's side now, and here you can see our shifter selector rod here, so I can put my bracket for that back on, bolts in there, onto there like that. Here's a linkage rod up here to our linkage arm, and then we'll make sure we're in park in the trans all the way forward there. Trans up top, the shifter is in park, so then we can hook that guy up. Neutral safety, backup lights, if you got them. Trans cooler lines there and there. Oh, there's our speedo. So we can hook all that stuff. I'm going to hook all that up, and then we're going to come back, and then we're going to look at this guy here, and that's going to be the electrical connection for our trans brake. So that is something new we're adding, and I'll show you the wiring up top for that, how I plumb that guy in. And my dumb ass was wrong. All the way back is park. There we go. And here we are back, and I got all the linkage hooked up now. You can see the neutral safeties on there. I didn't have a cotter pin, so I just put a piece of wire in there now. That's temporary. I will put a cotter pin in. And then I went all the way back, and I actually put the drive shaft in as well. Gets it out of the way, out of that small room I got where I'm storing everything. But now we can start looking at our trans brake electrical connection. So right there, you can see the hookup for the power supply. That will be triggered by the button on the steering wheel. So I got a simple wire going from that section down. I'll show you upstairs what's going on with all that. But down here on the trans, all I have to do is make a simple connector fitting there. And then that will activate the solenoid inside. For more info on that, go to that trans video and take a look. And I kind of got them, I got it and the neutral safety kind of away from the trans. I'm going to try to wrap the blanket around everything and then have those on the outside. Might have to put some heat stuff on them to protect them from the header. The header is kind of down here though, so it should kind of be all right there. So let's make that simple connection done, and then we'll head upstairs. I'll show you how it's plumbed into the two-step and the button on the wheel. Okay, simple connections all done, and then you can see I got them routed here, and I got them into this stock little clip, which is quite conveniently placed for these items. So that's all done now, so I'm going to show you the upstairs, but I thought I'd show you this too. These are AN fittings that I use for my trans cooler. If you want to run AN fittings, you can just simply get, I think it's a 1/8 MPT to -6 fitting, and then you can run AN lines on your trans cooler. I route mine to the other far side over there, and then they run along with the fuel on the far side away from the headers. Stock ones run right up the front here. They almost touch the headers in some areas, so that's a nice upgrade. It keeps your trans much cooler, so I do recommend that. So let's follow the red wire upstairs now and show you what's going on. So here we are under the dash here, and that's my MSD two-step. You can see the blue wire coming out of it. That's where I needed to tie into for the trans brake solenoid. So we follow those guys over, they get into the loom, and then put one little hole into the tunnel with a grommet. Here's my neutral safety. I'm going to shorten that guy up. I moved it too, so that's why it's so long now. But there's the red line coming out, and then you can see it goes into the blue line there. Tied them together, and then those go all the way up to the button on the wheel. So I can engage the two-step at an RPM limit lower than the converter will allow, which the converter is away right now. So we're shooting again to have it at a 4,500 stall on no two-step. So with the two-step though, I could dial it down if I want to launch it like 4,000 and then flash the last 500 or so, or I might just negate that, launch at 45. We'll figure all that out on the track. But pretty simple wiring once I'd done all that. It was pretty easy to tie it all in. So nice, clean install. Can't wait to hit that button. Okay, so now we're ready to start struggling with our trans blanket. Okay, so got this guy from Summit Racing, obviously. There's the SFI rating. Now you do have a couple options when you buy these. You can actually buy what's called a trans shield, and it's actually like a steel or maybe it's aluminum jacket that goes over top of the trans instead of this. But reading the reviews on those, most say that you have to manipulate your trans tunnel quite a bit. I didn't want to do that, so I opted for the blanket. This guy from Summit was pretty affordable. It was like 140 bucks, I want to say, and meets all the requirements that I do have with the SFI rating for 1099 and quicker cars. So I also read the reviews on it, and then most guys say it fits a 727 trans. A couple guys said it didn't fit theirs, but I feel like they had a real deep pan. I got the Mopar Performance. I think it's like an extra 2 inches deeper than a regular pan, and I believe it's gonna fit, but we're really not gonna know till we try to get it on there and then make sure that we can get her strapped up. So it just loops around it, and then there's a couple on the front, and I believe, yeah, these guys, use a couple of these guys, and actually bolts to the front of the bell housing as well, so it can't slide back. So 2 up when you bolt the motor up, and then these 2 just kind of belly wrap it. So I have no idea how this is going to go. I've never put one on, but let's just get into it. Okay, so I got that guy on there. It does just barely fit there. You can see the SFI rating again. I just kind of dropped down the trans a little bit and then wrapped it right over, and it worked out pretty good. There's those straps that I will put the buckles on and then tie in to whichever points kind of line up the best, I assume. There's no instructions, but as long as it wraps the casing, that's what's going to get the tech guy happy, and that's what's going to protect you. So I am happy with that right now. Let's look underneath here. And there you can see it's fully encasing that 727 tranny. And I still got access to my cooler lines out there and in the front there. And you can see it just barely fits. So Summit, if you're watching, you're not. Add an inch to these straps, please. And then it'll fit more 727 trannies. But it does just barely fit. So that looks pretty good. I am a little concerned about the linkage though, because the linkage rod protrudes out. And then you kind of tighten this guy up, and then I went up top and tried shifting, and it's a little bit stickier. So I don't know. I hear guys cut these sometimes. Maybe I can manipulate the rod. I'm gonna look at that a little bit further and make sure that I got good shifting action. Now thinking about the shifter, I never put that cotter pin in. I'm gonna have to take that off and do that cotter pin. Oh my God, what a boner. Okay, so that's gonna close out this video, guys. I'm leaving the car jacked up because obviously I gotta get that blanket off and then put that friggin' cotter pin in there. Then I can do those trans lines too. They're just simple AN fittings, hook them up. And then that's pretty much it for her. Then we're still waiting for motor, which is on the way. I'm gonna paint that front section. I got tires coming, apparently. I've been on back order forever. It's back order life right now, for sure. And we got some intake stuff coming, actually. I got a little more stuff I've been doing on that intake, including some linkage stuff and a couple other trick things you'll be interested in. So stay tuned for all that. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you soon.